Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Balaramji in Australia, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Always good to see you, Prabhu. Very enlivening for us to...
This is a special time of the week, Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's a sadhana program for us.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
No, go.
Yeah, it's a regular schedule in my weekly diary, all these classes that I put in as part of my service to Prabhupada for myself as a devotee, because really, when you hear the philosophy from other devotees, it becomes a great source of inspiration and enlightenment, and this consistency that we have with the program on YouTube, which we're also, by the way, everyone, we're planning to stream it 24 hours a day from Hamilton here on the YouTube system, so that people can, at their leisure, get a chance to hear the philosophy from our association of devotees. And this is very sweet nectar, because it's like the fruit. When you pass the fruit down from the parrot like that, the more it passes down through the hands, the sweeter it becomes. So this is Prabhupada's mercy on us, very much so, that if you simply repeat what you hear from the bona fide spiritual master, then it has a special potency. I was explaining that to our godbrother, Patita Pavana, today in, where is he? Bulgaria, I believe. I had a long chat with him. He was saying, well, you should be a Diksha Guru. I said, oh, really? He goes, what do you think of that? I said to him, well, I am, a teacher. Yes, I have base students. I have people in real estate I teach. I teach special events to new people in my work. I promote events, so I teach people that. I also am a bhakti yoga teacher, but I'm not a Diksha Guru, I told him. All of us, we introduce Krishna to other people. We have all kinds of people that we're talking to. I've done this all my life. I started in 1971, and now it's 2023. So am I a presenter? Yes, technically speaking, it's called. And for all of us, we're all gurus. Vartma Padarshika Guru. Oh yeah, you are. You can't walk into a room and, like, for example, if you're a singer, if you go into the room and you audition for singing, you can't go, well, I can't really sing. What's the first thing that'll happen to you? You fail the audition, Dasa Avatar. That's what you do. They fire you out. Okay, go away. You have to have confidence. Our confidence comes from, like you, Balaram, you read the books regularly. And by reading, like today, I'm reading Sri Upanishad again. What a wonderful book for distribution, by the way. Incredible. Amazing explanation of philosophy for people that are new to Krishna consciousness. It's a much different target than people that are coming to this evening's program, Caitanya-caritāmṛta discussion, which is of a different caliber, in a sense, because you have, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Prabhupada classified them with the graduate program and the postgraduate program and the PhD program of spiritual life. So Caitanya-caritāmṛta is the highest level of spiritual information that the fallen conditioned souls in the Kali Yuga can receive. No question. But reading the Sri Upanishad, I was thinking, gee, this would be a great book for our society, our association to distribute. It's interesting to note, everyone, what they do in the other group is they take Prabhupada's literature and then they put their names at the front that they did it, that they published it, and then at the back they put in all the list of the groups that they have, and they say, and in this edition, which is an original edition from 69, I'm reading that, but at the end they put in the ISKCON information. Oh, if you want to become a devotee, come to our center. So they're piggybacking onto Prabhupada's pure books and trying to recruit people into their mission. And then after, they can tell them it's post-Prabhupada books that we're going to teach you now. Oh yeah, thank you very much. This is one of the atrocities of the current situation that we're in. And Prabhupada certainly wanted us to protect his legacy and the integrity of his mission after his departure. There's no question of that. My meager experience in corporate law, you have a fiduciary duty to respect the wishes of the founder of any organization and to follow the directives according to his teachings, and not concoct and manufacture different things to suit your own personal purposes in being a part of a mission. This is illegal, and this is very unfortunate, and this will be coming out in due course of time, believe it. We'll save that for another day, because very interestingly, we're reading the diaries of Srila Prabhupada, as all of you know, and they're fascinating insights. And today I'm very honored to be able to read a conversation in Toronto when I was there as president. So it's a fond memory of Srila Prabhupada's visit. So it's an excerpt from a conversation in a car in Toronto on June 21st, 1976. And I was in the car driving, because I drove Prabhupada everywhere. Hey, Balaram, I exercised that authority to appoint myself as the driver. I thought, I know how to drive, I'll drive Prabhupada. So I did drive Prabhupada quite a bit, and unfortunately I didn't have the same transcendental experience as our godbrother Yaśodā, but I do appreciate his telling us about that, because it becomes inspiring for me to hear about his relationship with Srila Prabhupada and his ability to transmit it without motive to us at every program that we're putting on. So this is Prabhupada. You have all got this experience. This is the only way. I started this movement on this determination that they have nothing to give simply by propaganda. They are exacting so many people and befooling them. And I'll give them prashad, nice chanting, and they will not come. They must come. This was my determination. And I begin with this. So this is the only way. Give them chants. No talk. Please come, chant and dance with us and take Krishna Prasadam and go home. Kirtananda, I think it was just 10 years ago when I first met you. Yes, Prabhupada. I never said that you have to give up this, you have to do this. Never said. Then gradually, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, when the heart becomes cleansed, then little. Yeah. There is no hopelessness. So many people have come, and they are coming, both black, white, everyone is coming. There's no question. Okay, Prabhupada saying of race, religion. But you cannot expect that 100% people will come. That is not possible. But even 1/4% people come to this, then it will be successful. Compared to the American population, what percentage we have got? Makes me think of how many people we don't have on the internet when Taylor Swift has 1 billion followers. Still, they have made some impression, the Hare Krishna movement. Literatures are selling. They are appreciating. Learned circles. Takes some time, but if we stick to our principles and do not make any compromise and push on in this way, I have given you instruction and will never stop. It will go on. It will never stop for at least 10,000 years. It will go on. That is and this movement is meant for these 4th class, 5th class, 10th class men. Not this movement is 4th class, 5th class. They are so fallen that they cannot be even counted. Even 3rd class, 4th class, 10th class of men. Deliver them, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation is for delivering these classes of men. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never meant to start this movement for high-class Brahmins, sages, saintly persons. No. This class of men for the all fallen. Don't be disappointed. Go on. Go on. Stick to the principles. When there is no response, I did not know where to live, where to eat. Sometimes at Dr. Mishra's, sometimes with some friend somewhere. Where to live. And I was going to inquire the shipping company when the next ship returning to India. Still, I was renewing my visa. Let us hope. And in this way, we started 2nd Avenue in month of July, I think. Then things turned around. I'm added that. Kirtananda, June or July? He didn't know much. Prabhupada, yes, June or July, yes, June. Then Hayagriva and Kirtananda, they came first. Before that, Mukunda came. Harisori, he is the oldest devotee. Mukunda, he is the oldest devotee. Yes, there were others. They have left that Mr. Green, Kirtananda. Jagannath Das, I think you named him Jagannath. Yeah. Prabhupada and Rabindra Swarup and Carl. Yes, he has left. So, very interesting dialogue here in Toronto. I'm glad I read it again, Yaśodā. I was so nervous driving, I didn't hear anything. I didn't want to get in an accident. That's the beauty of the Vani incarnation, that Prabhupada's still living, and his sound, vibration, and his followers live with him. Let's hear the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava with Srila Prabhupada to begin the class. Chant along, everyone. Chant along in all the parts of the program and get the full benefit of hearing and chanting in this transcendental session of Caitanya-caritāmṛta. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari Jaya Giridharadhari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yaśodā-nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Usmakarang Sapariprajavacārya Satsatmanam Vidittam Samarasarvusam Nobhati Jaya Ananta Kodi Vaishnavindaki Navacārya Silagrasa
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudev, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottapam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Tato jayam mudirayet, Tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Nara Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everybody to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We are reading from the unrevised, non-adulterated 1974 version. Today we will be reading and discussing from Adi Lila, chapter 4, text number 56. Trying to check with Venkat here if we have the right.
It's 57, Prabhu.
57, very good. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As every Caitanya-caritāmṛta reading, we first start with reading a few verses from Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text 18 to 22, to help us understand the great transcendental benefit and significance of reading this exalted literature the postgraduate study of spiritual literature. Text 18. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gaudiya ke karya chenayatmasat, 18 Charana Vandana Tire Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text 20. Grantera Rambi Kari Mangala Charana, Guru Vaishnav Bhagavanti Nirasmarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Tinera smaranyai vigna vinashana, anayasyai nijavan chita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text 22. Se mangala charanoi trivida prakar, vastu nirdesha shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. We are reading from page 265, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 57. Se duye koebe Chaitanya Gosai, rasa svadite don heoela ekatai. Say these, dui two, eka one, ebe now, Chaitanya Gosai, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, rasa mellow, asvadite to taste, donhe the two, oela have become, ekatai one body. Translation. Now to enjoy rasa, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 58. Iti lagiare karitara vivaran, jaoete oi gorera mahimakatan, iti lagi, for this age, age, first, kari, I shall do, tara, of that, vivarana, description, jahoete, from which, I, there is, gorera, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, mahima, the glory, katana, relating. Translation. Therefore, I shall first delineate the position of Radha and Krishna. From that, the glory of Lord Chaitanya will be known. Text 59. Radhika yena Krishnera pranaya vikar, Swarup Shakti Alladini Nama Yanhar, Radhika, Srimati Radharani, Ayena is Krishnera of Lord Krishna, Pranaya Vikar, transformation of love, Swarup Shakti, personal energy, Alladini, Nama, name, Yanhara, whose. Translation. Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is his internal energy called Alladini. Text 60. Alladini karaya Krishna ananda svadan, Alladini radvara kare bhaktera poshan, Alladini, the Alladini energy, Karaya causes to do. Krishna in Lord Krishna. Ananda Asvadana, the tasting of bliss. Alladinira Dvara, by the pleasure potency. Kare does. Bhaktera, of the devotee. Poshana, nourishing. Translation. That Alladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately described the Alladini potency in his Priti Sandarbha. He says that the Vedas clearly state only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service, and as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. What is the particular attraction that makes the Supreme Lord enthusiastic to accept devotional service, and what is the nature of such service? The Vedic scriptures inform us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, is self-sufficient, and that Maya, nescience, can never influence him at all. As such, the potency that overcomes the Supreme must be purely spiritual. Such a potency cannot be anything of the material manifestation. The bliss enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be of material composition, like the impersonalist conception of the bliss of Brahman. Devotional service is reciprocation between two, and therefore it cannot be located simply within oneself. Therefore, the bliss of self-realization, Brahmananda, cannot be equated with devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three kinds of internal potency, namely the Alladini or pleasure potency, Sandini or existential potency, and Sambit or cognitive potency. In the Vishnu Purana 1:12-69, the Lord is addressed as follows: O Lord, you are the support of everything. The three attributes, Alladini, Sandini, and Sambit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. Alladini is the personal manifestation of the blissfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he enjoys pleasure. Because the pleasure potency is perpetually present in the Supreme Lord, the theory of the impersonalist that the Lord appears in the material mode of goodness cannot be accepted. The impersonalist conclusion is against the Vedic version that the Lord possesses a transcendental pleasure potency. When the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exhibited by His grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. Love of God is another epithet of the pleasure potency of the Lord. Therefore, devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and his devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. The potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material, but the Shankarites have accepted it as such because they are ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. Those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and the variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The Aladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such a potency unto his pure devotee. Om Ajnana-timirandasya jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with a torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prachantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataha Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we have a very detailed, intricate purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in text number 60. We saw in text number 66 how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining the true nature of Radha and Krishna. He explains, Radha Krishna Eka Atma Duve Deo Dhari Anyonya Vilas Rasa Asvadana Kori. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus, they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. And Prabhupada explains in the purport in the third paragraph, in fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Maha Bhagavata devotee. The very name Radha suggests that she is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavana therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna. So this is a very important point. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the highest teachings of spiritual understanding, of spiritual life. And as we know in the history of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed, the actual leadership was transferred to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, the personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya had a lot of personal associates during his Navadvip Leela and his Leela in Jagannath Puri. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, all the 6 Goswamis, to present his teachings to the world. There is one lecture where Srila Prabhupada explained that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only personally wrote 8 verses, the Shikshastakam. Only 8 verses. So sometimes there are criticism that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. He did not write a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada explained that the commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam is the writings of the 6 Goswamis. Now, as we know, Jiva Goswami was a very prolific writer. So was Rupa Goswami. It is estimated that the total volume of literary composition of the 6 Goswamis is almost 5 lakh of verses. When we say a verse, we say anushtup with 32 syllables. That is a massive amount of information. And Prabhupada explained that the writing of the 6 Goswamis, that is the purport of the Shikshastakam. That is very deep. Now, if anybody, we can read Prabhupada's books, and we see the explanations and commentaries that His Divine Grace has given on so many topics, especially in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Prabhupada is quoting profusely from Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And this is very important because this philosophy is not based on speculation. Everything is based on the writings and the dictums of these great acharyas. So after the departure of the Goswamis, the preaching was given to Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and other acharyas of that time. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained in his Sajjana Toshani journal that after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, there was a period of darkness in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, where various agents of Kali infiltrated the Sampradaya to spread their wicked doctrines. And only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and very few devotees could understand who these persons were, what these persons were doing. So this is not something to be astonished at. But we see that periodically, great acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sripad Baladev Vidyabhushana, and then subsequently Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our Srila Prabhupada came to give further expansion of the teaching and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When we have the readings on Bhagavad Gita, we read these verses that had been given by Srila Prabhupada. And one of the verses is Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padkada Mahyam Dadati Svapadamtikam. That we are begging for the mercy of Rupa Goswami, who is the representative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When will he give us his mercy under the shade of his lotus feet? This is a very exalted personality, one of the personal associates of Radha and Krishna. Rupa Manjari. We have a devotee on this call, Rupa Manjari Devi Dasi. So Rupa Goswami is the incarnation on this planet of Srila Rupa Manjari, an associate of Radha and Krishna. And he was praised by Raghunath Das Goswami in one of his writings. He says, Adadana Srinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha. That I repeatedly bow at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami with a straw in my mouth. Punaha Punaha, again and again. Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulisyam Janma Janmani. That I pray that I may remain a piece of dust at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, birth after birth. This is a very exalted devotional sentiment. This is really what we should be aspiring for. Not that somebody will be thinking, I'll become a very popular devotee, some senior devotee, some prophet adoration distinction program. No. Our only service is to follow the mission of these great acharyas. That is our only mission. That's what the 6 Goswamis came for. That's what Krishna Das Kaviraj came for. Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasa Acharya, Shyamananda Thakur. That's what these great powerful acharyas came to deliver the exact message of these great powerful personalities. Now we are nowhere near the exalted position of these great persons. But what we can do is render a little service by submissively hearing the message from their greatest representative, Srila Prabhupada, and trying to give that message, trying to present that message that Prabhupada has given to others. Everybody can procure and obtain some of Prabhupada's books, distribute these books to his friends, his relatives, his family, everybody you meet. And then you will get great, great benefit, great benediction of Krishna. We read in Bhagavad Gita, our Lord Sri Krishna is explaining that there's no person on this planet who is more dear to him than one who gives this transcendental knowledge to others. So one cannot even conceive of the exalted position of someone like Srila Prabhupada, who sacrificed so much to present this divine transcendental message for the benefit of humanity, for all the devotees, for everyone. That is why this message cannot be changed, cannot be altered, cannot be adulterated, cannot be interpolated under the plea of some called grammatical correctness or grammatical embellishment. Just leave it the way it is. We have no record of Prabhupada ever giving any instruction that after my departure, go back to the manuscript and rewrite the book. Nowhere did Prabhupada ever say that. As a matter of fact, there's evidence to the contrary. Don't change. Remain as it is. They cannot change anything. The next printing again should be the original way. So many instructions in various letters, various conversations, so many instructions from Srila Prabhupada, do not change my books. Why? Prabhupada knew he was especially empowered. All of you may have heard the story when Prabhupada was staying at the Radha Damodar temple, that Srila Rupa Goswami himself came to him one time and told him to go to America. Prabhupada had received that order from his Guru Maharaj to go preach in the Western countries. He was living in Vrindavan. First, he lived in Keshigat. An interesting story. One time we had a morning walk near Keshigat, and Guru Kripa Swami and a few devotees were there with Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, as we know, was walking with a cane. So one time, for those of you who have been to Vrindavan, you know, in Vrindavan, they have a lot of wild dogs. They're not domesticated dogs like you have in America, where the dog is pampered and all of the nonsense. Not like that. They are wild. They will attack other dogs. Even if they're very hungry, sometimes they will attack and bite other human beings. So we're on this morning walk with Srila Prabhupada, and this ferocious dog is running towards Srila Prabhupada. So we're all concerned, like, what's going to happen here? And his dog is barking like crazy, running towards Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada stopped. And he put his cane up, and he says, hut, hut. And the dog just stopped all of a sudden. It is as though as the super soul immediately told his dog, don't go any further than that. And we were ready to kick the dog, but Prabhupada says, no, no. Prabhupada says, now you go. And the dog went away. So a little later on that same morning walk, we were near the Keshi Ghat, and there was an old Vaishnava that came there with tilak, very old. He was slumped over. And all of a sudden, Prabhupada lunges over this Vaishnava and embraces him. And we were thinking, now, who is this person to get so much mercy from Srila Prabhupada? So Prabhupada started to talk in Hindi with him, in Bengali, and he embraced them, and they were laughing. And then the Vaishnava left. And Prabhupada explained that this is the Vaishnava that helped Prabhupada to secure his room, first room at Keshi Ghat, before Srila Prabhupada went to the Radha Damodar temple, that sacred ground of the 6 Goswamis at Radha Damodar temple. He lived in Keshi Ghat after he came from Mathura. And this Vaishnava had been instrumental in helping Srila Prabhupada get a room on the 2nd floor of some big house where he had a good view of the Yamuna, and he was near the big Keshi Ghat temple. So it was quite an interesting experience, that we have to be very careful when we deal with Vaishnavas. Another time in Vrindavan, Guru Das Prabhu one time told me a story how there was a Vaishnava who came to the Radha Damodar temple. He was hunched over. You could tell he was suffering a lot. There was a lot of physical difficulty in his walking. And Prabhupada pointed to Guru Das, this person over there used to steal my mail when I was living at the Radha Damodar temple. And this is the reaction. On another angle, there was a lady at the Radha Damodar temple, an old widow. She was a hunchback. And every morning she used to go take a bath to the Yamuna, and it was a good walk, and she would bring back a bucket of water. Now, if you get a bucket of water all the way from Yamuna to the Radha Damodar temple, it can be a little heavy, especially for an elderly widow. And she did that every day for years and years and years. Prabhupada pointed to Guru Das, this is her last birth in the material world. She's going back to Godhead at the end of this life. So there's a lot of times in Vrindavan, we have to be very careful of the Vaishnavas we're dealing with. We never know who they are, what they have done. It might be their last session in this material world, or it may be that they're going to be here for a while. So this is very important to learn how to deal with the holy Dham and the perfect Mahabhagavata devotee. It's interesting in some of these discussions in these purports, how Srila Prabhupada explained here how only by the mercy of a Mahabhagavata devotee, Prabhupada says, in fact, in text number 56, in fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavata devotee. The very name Radha suggests that she is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. Very, very important. Because we know, especially those of you who may have gone to India, there are many different persons who claim to be very expert in understanding the activities and pastimes of Krishna. There's all kinds of sahajiyas, nonsense imposters, cheaters, Kali Chelas, deviants, and they will speak of the pastime of Lord Krishna. Especially many of them will specialize in presenting Rasa Leela. In one of our last discussions, we were discussing this very popular social event that takes place in India called Bhagavat Saptaha, where some professional reciters will read the entire Sanskritness of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will have elaborate ceremony and everything. Of course, the various organizers charge some money, get donations. But Prabhupada explained that this is not the way to receive the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. the sacred Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, second chapter, explain how to receive the message of Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. This is the instruction of Shukadev Goswami. Constant service, constant hearing of the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and service to the pure Bhagavata devotee, like what Srila Prabhupada is describing here. Because we see one time we were in Ranchi, Bihar, and one of the life members invited us to a Rasalila celebration. And we asked him, what is this Rasalila celebration? He says, well, on Ras Purnima night, the celebration of the Rasalila, we invite young girls, attractive women to dance, and we dance with the girls. And we want to invite you to dance. And we told him, he says, we don't do such things. We hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, but what you're suggesting here is not sanctioned by the Srimad Bhagavatam. You cannot understand the Rasalila unless you hear from a Mahabhagavata, pure devotee. This is very important because we see there are many persons and practitioners, sadhakas, who want to take shortcut. They want to jump like monkeys to the Rasalila, Siddha Deha, Swarup Siddhi, all of these esoteric pastimes. But this is not the recommended practice given by our great Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Every single time that Srila Prabhupada was asked about Siddha Deha, the personal relationship with Krishna, Prema, Swarup, all of these intimate pastimes of Krishna, these very highly confidential discussions, Prabhupada say, first you understand that you're not the body. First you become liberated. Then you will understand. We had gone to Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, South India in 1972. And one Indian gentleman who lived in Northern California, he was arranging for a Bhagavat Saptaha. And he wanted to invite us. It's like, you're a white American or Canadian. They think this is like white elephants. People will come to see these people. So he wanted to invite us to his celebration. And we told him that we don't approve of these kind of celebrations like you're having. This is not the proper way of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other people, they go to the Brahma Vaivarta Purana and they have a special drama of Lord Krishna marrying Radharani, described in the Brahma. So they have these special celebrations. So this is very popular with many sahajiyas, neophytes, people that have not undergone proper training under the bona fide, self-realized Mahabhagavad Acharya. And this is very popular, very popular. But this is not the way to understand Krishna's pastimes. We see that Srila Prabhupada has given the Krishna book, the entire 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in English with the Krishna book. So one time he had discussions with his disciples explaining that Krishna book must be there. But if people read properly with the commentaries and explanation of Srila Prabhupada, then they will understand what is the real Rasalila, what is the real meaning, what is the benefit of hearing this transcendental pastime, what is the proper process and sadhana to understand these confidential activities. Otherwise, it simply becomes complete nonsense and it confuses people. Then people come to the conclusion that this is sex religion. This is nonsense sex religion. So people have to hear the message from the proper authority. Iti Shusramadiranam. The Sri Upanishad gives us a warning that one should hear from the self-realized Dhira, one who is not disturbed by the whirlpool of the material energy. So many references in Bhagavad Gita about what is a self-realized person, what is a Krishna conscious person, what are the characteristics, what is the vision of such a person, what are the symptoms, how to recognize this such a person, how such a person is engaged. There are so many references. One has to study line by line, hear the message. This is very important. Very important. We see in the Upanishad, there is a description, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya, that you cannot achieve the Supreme Godhead simply by elaborate speeches, by elaborate presentation. Namedayana Bahudasrutena. Even if you're a highly intelligent, most intelligent, that is not the criteria. Nabahunasritena. Even if you've studied the 4 Vedas, that is not the criteria. And the rest, it explains that this transcendental Supreme Atma will be revealed when he's pleased upon you. Or how do you please the Supreme Godhead? By service. And that first service is the hearing. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam padasevanam. To submissively hear the message. We've often discussed in these presentations the pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy was presenting so many different processes of spiritual realization to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept speaking, go on, explain more, go on. But when he came to this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Stanistitaha Shrutigatantanuvan Manubhir, Ye Praya Soajito Ajip Apita Srilokyam, that you remain in whatever position you are and hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by this method, Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, a pure Bhagavata devotee, by this method, the Ajita, the unconquerable Lord Krishna, can become Jita, can become conquered. That's how one obtains the favor of Krishna. Very important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approved that method. This is the presentation of Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas. Just yesterday, I was discussing with Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, who incidentally is here in our little ashram here on the Twain Heart, the Govardhan ashram. And we were discussing all these great acharyas, especially starting from Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our Srila Prabhupada. Their whole mission was based on publishing transcendental literatures and distributing transcendental literatures. Prabhupada wrote his books. He engages students to help him edit and publish these books. He arranged a sadhana program that people will hear morning and evening, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and he arranged for the profuse distribution of these books. This is the actual future, the real future of the Krishna Consciousness movement. This is the way to reform the Sahajya tendencies, the tendencies towards the 3 Ps, the posing, posturing, and preventing for profit, adoration, and extinction. This hearing process will cure that. If one submissively hears, he will get the transcendental understanding, he will get the transcendental benefit. That's provided he hears from non-adulterated original first edition books. Otherwise, it can be a big problem. Big problem. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you very much for that erudite explanation of these verses from Caitanya-caritāmṛta. It is our pleasure to be a part of this discussion. And I wanted to mention that the principle of getting transcendental knowledge comes only from the Mahabhagavat, as Prabhupada has pointed out here at the bottom of the purport on text 60, the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material, but the Sankarites have accepted it as such because they are ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. So those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and the variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such potency upon his pure devotee. So this, Prabhupada's humbly explaining his position as Uttama-ācārya. And we know that there are 3 levels in the development of a person's spiritual life: Kanishta-ācārya, Madhyama-ācārya, and Uttama-ācārya. And I was mentioning earlier, the Prabhu was asking me today, well, why aren't you accepting disciples? So further, I wanted to say, I did say to him, well, I'm not in the position. I'm certainly not an Uttama-ācārya. I'm not a Madhyama-ācārya. I'm not really that advanced to call myself a Kanishta-ācārya. But at the same time, I'm the servant of Srila Prabhupada. And that puts me in the proper position to make advancement in spiritual life, because when you see yourself as a servant, then this is the proper state of mind to help others in Krishna consciousness. The purpose of Guru Tattva, as we have been discussing with our friend in Toronto who's engaged in a litigation and originally born in India, she's explaining to me that in India, the Guru Tattva issue is the essence of the transcendental system of spiritual enlightenment. The essence. In other words, the gateway to spiritual life is only opened through the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. Only. It was interesting to note today when I was reading at the beginning of this session how Prabhupada was talking about people trying to understand Krishna consciousness, but finding a great deal of difficulty in doing so. And Prabhupada says, compared to the American population, what percentage we have got? Still, they have made some impression, the Hare Krishna movements. Literatures are selling, they're appreciating, taking some time, but if we stick in our principles and do not make any compromise and push on in this way, I have given you instruction, it will never stop. It will go on. It will never stop. At least for 10,000 years, it will go on. How will it go on if people misrepresent Prabhupada's teachings and exploit his assets for their own personal aggrandizement? It won't. So these principles that we're discussing in our sessions are relevant to the protection of the legacy of Prabhupada for the next 10,000 years. And this is very serious. This is not just something to pass time. No, this is for us to take up the service, even though we only have a few people here in this group, very few, and even who knows how some people are. Can't read everyone's mind, but at the same time, we still have a responsibility to come together as a group and protect Prabhupada's legacy and present the fact that he is living in sound as the pure devotee, and he is qualified to accept disciples because he is an Uttama-ācārya. That's the position. Yaśodā, could you further comment?
Well, you're making a very important point, very essential point. We see that when Srila Prabhupada was describing the various literatures which he had translated, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, several times Srila Prabhupada used to refer to the Caitanya-caritāmṛta as the postgraduate study of spiritual knowledge. It's interesting, in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada states, actually, Caitanya-caritāmṛta is not intended for the novice, for it is the postgraduate study of spiritual knowledge. Ideally, one begins with and advances through Srimad Bhagavatam to the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Although all of these great scriptures are on the absolute level for the sake of comparative study, Caitanya-caritāmṛta is considered to be on the highest platform. Every verse in it perfectly composed. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are compared to the sun and moon in that they dissipate the darkness of the material world. In this instance, both the sun and moon have risen together, and it is proper to offer obeisances directly to Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. There's other statements as well. For example, in one lecture on Bhagavad Gita, on chapter 13, text 22-24, in Melbourne, Australia, on June 25th, 1974, June 25, 1974, Srila Prabhupada said, so if we read the Vedic literature, and you'll get full knowledge, and the essence of Vedic literature is Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam, ABCD. This Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD of knowledge. This is entrance examination, matriculation examination, school leaving examination. And Srimad Bhagavatam is graduate. When you become graduate in spiritual knowledge, then you can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you have passed your bachelor degree, when you are postgraduate, that study is Sri Caitanya Caritāmṛta. So we've got three different status of reading capacity. We've got already 20 books. So don't waste your time. Try to understand what is Krishna and what is spiritual life by reading these books. Everything is explained there. So this is a very important point, because although none of us consider themselves very, very graduate students or very advanced students, it's important to understand the very special position of Sri Caitanya Caritāmṛta, the description of the exalted pastimes and philosophy given by Krishnadas Kaviraj, the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very, very special literature. And Srila Prabhupada, the way this came about, some devotees went to Calcutta University early on in 1971, and they found an English translation of Sri Caitanya Caritāmṛta by some Bengali author. But it was not very, there was no commentary. It was just a translation of the text. So they brought this to Srila Prabhupada in Calcutta, and they asked Srila Prabhupada, can we read this? And Prabhupada says, yes, you can read. So what happened is Srila Prabhupada eventually, by 1973, decided that he was going to translate the Caitanya Caritāmṛta on the condition that the devotees in Los Angeles will produce the book very swiftly. And it was a lot of effort and a lot of service by all the devotees there in Los Angeles, who basically were able to complete that task within about a year and a half. But this is a monumental work. Caitanya Caritāmṛta has about 15,000 verses. It's almost as large in verse number as the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a very special literature. In another lecture in Mayapur on October 19, 1974, Mayapur, October 19, 1974, Srila Prabhupada explained, so Vaishnava, just like Caitanya Caritāmṛta Karacha, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that Jagai Madai Oite Muite se Papista. Purisha Kito Ete Muise Lagishta. From Adilila 5:205. Caitanya-caritāmṛta author, such an exalted person, practically the most exalted personality in Gaudiya Vaishnava. His Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there is no comparison. It is postgraduate study. So the author of the book is presenting himself that my position is lower than the worm in the stool. Purisher kitoete muise lagishta. In Jagai Madai Oi muise se papista. Jagai Madai was the example of papi, sinful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam Das Thakur sings, Papi tapi jatachilo harinami uddarilo, Brajendra Nandaraje Sachisuta hoilo, Se Balaram oila nitai. These two brothers were formerly the son of Rajendra Nandana, the Maharaj Nanda, his son Krishna and Balarama. So Balarama has become Nitai and Krishna has become Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when they become Nitai and Chaitanya, how? Now, Papi Tapi Jatachilo, just to deliver all the sinful person. So did they actually do so? Yes. And where is the evidence? Tare Sakshi Jagai Madai. Here is the evidence. They delivered Jagai and Madai. Jai, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Jagai and Madhai, the fallen souls of the Kali Yuga that personify the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And Balaramji in Australia, you've had the mercy of Lord Chaitanya there by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. How is it that the Sankirtan movement has blessed Australia through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna Prabhus, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Srila Prabhupada came in 1975. One of his trips, he had been previously, but he installed the very beautiful and wonderful Sri Sri Gaur-Nitai in the Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir temple. Even though Sri Sri Radha Vallabha and Lord Jagannath are installed there, but the temple is commonly known as the Mahaprabhu Mandir. And Srila Prabhupada personally did the installation Abhishek at that time. So that was very wonderful. And I came to Krishna Consciousness in 1972, just following you a year after your good self. And straight away, we were out distributing BTGs in the street, trying to get 10 or 20 cents for a Back to Godhead in those days. That was before we had the big books. We were taking out Easy Journey to Other Planets. That was a good one to distribute because everyone thought they were astral traveling in those days. So that was a good little line to sell those books. But then gradually we had great soul Buddhimanta Prabhu. He was very empowered. Buddhimanta, I spent 2 years on traveling Sankirtan with Buddhimanta Prabhu, learned all the arts of big book distribution and so on. So our early days were simply taken up with morning program, taking prasadam, getting ready into the vans, and sometimes being dropped off at a railway station with 2 boxes of books, and basically don't come back until you've distributed them all. So wonderful days. Things have changed a lot since then. But all to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, in this purport, I was just reading, I've got the light off here for the, states, when the pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord is exhibited by His grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. Very important here, the pleasure potency of the Lord is exhibited by His grace. Now, we term His Divine Grace A.C, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Mhm.
We use the term His Divine Grace. I was once, a devotee once said to me that the His was referring to the devotee. No, it's His, capital letter, His Divine Grace. That's the supreme divine grace of the Lord upon His pure devotee.
Mhm.
So that's the link that we have. Krishna's bestowed His divine grace upon His pure devotee. And
Mhm.
Prabhupada, in a lecture, he was explaining that he said, just like an electrician, he knows how to handle electricity. He said, but if someone is electrocuted, what is the information? Stay away, do not touch them, because by touching a person who is electrocuted, you can also get electrocuted. So Prabhupada actually used that as an example. He said that the pure devotee is actually carrying that spiritual current from Krishna. He said, if you touch that spiritual devotee, come in contact, then you will also receive that current in a pure way. So this was in a class that Srila Prabhupada gave some months ago I was listening to. So it was a very wonderful example. We can see that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to touch the body of Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada has expanded throughout his books. He said, my books are there for you to use, right? 10,000 next 10,000 years, Srila Prabhupada's books are there to use eternally. So coming into contact with Srila Prabhupada, we've discussed many times, just like the technology is there today. We can use something for Krishna, or it can be used for Maya. So when we see this wonderful use of technology, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu has just done such a wonderful service in facilitating what we have here. So many devotees, I'm just looking, so many devotees' names on the screen, all enjoying the wonderful Sangha here and listening to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, so much wonderful realizations, and yourself, beautiful introduction this morning to the class, Prabhu, that was very, very nectarine. So we have to spread that. Srila Prabhupada said, lecture this morning I was listening to, Prabhupada said, we do not remain on the Prakriti Bhakta platform. Prabhupada said in the lecture, he said, the three categories, I think you were explaining that, the three categories, but Prabhupada said we do not remain on the Prakriti Bhakta platform. That is more of a materialistic devotee platform. So we don't want to think ourselves as advanced, but Prabhupada is actually making that statement. By our sadhana, we have to advance and get off that platform onto the preaching platform. And that's the Madhyamadhikari level. So simply by hearing from Srila Prabhupada every day, reading his books, listening to his lectures, and associating with devotees, chanting our rounds with great enthusiasm, that is the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and that will bring all success if we follow it. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you in Australia, down there in the large island of Australia.
Down under.
Yeah, down under. I see that someone, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, has Jai Harinam. Venkat Bhatta, are you able to speak? Maybe you could read his question to the assembled devotees. I'm interested for us to maybe throw it into the circle of discussion. Venkat Bhatta, could you read it for us, please?
Yes, Prabhu. The question is, how about the position of people initiated by ISKCON gurus who are regularly hearing Srila Prabhupada and reading his original books only?
Okay, that's an interesting question. And I guess it's a question, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, which may be contradictory because we're saying that these ISKCON gurus are not bona fide Uttama-adhikaris. How would you respond to this, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu?
Well, whether they are Uttama Adhikaris or some other Adhikaris may be a question that is not for us to decide. We can have our own views. What we can discuss is whether they were authorized as Diksha Gurus and when and how they became authorized. Did they just authorize themselves, or were they factually authorized by Srila Prabhupada? But I think the real question is, because this issue is still under discussion on many levels. I noticed something here. It says, regularly hearing to Srila Prabhupada and reading his original books. Now, my question is, which temples are allowing reading of Prabhupada's original books? There's a lot of temples where reading of original Bhagavad Gita is forbidden. They don't allow it. Many temples don't allow the original Bhagavad Gita to be distributed. Many temples only allow the adulterated Srimad Bhagavatam, the revised Srimad Bhagavatam, to be read from. So this question, we can't really answer this unless somebody has some information that that policy has actually been changed or rectified, but I don't think it is. As far as devotees regularly hearing, chanting, well, Prabhupada encouraged everybody to hear and chant. That is the actual recommendation of His Divine Grace. And I don't think that this particular forum, with the time that we have, we don't want to castigate or insult or criticize anybody who is trying to follow the process that Prabhupada has given. In our main objection throughout our readings and discussion and classes basically has been, don't change Prabhupada's teachings, do not adulterate his original books, do not adulterate the process of deity worship, the kirtan, the offering of bhoga and everything. And we know there has been considerable problem with all these issues in Prabhupada's original society. It's a major issue. It's never been rectified. It's never been fixed. There is plenty of discussion, plenty of rationalization, plenty of excuses. But there is no excuse to deviate from Prabhupada's mandates and directive. Just this afternoon, we had a long conversation about events which transpired in Vrindavan in 1978, when I was there, as well as 1977. And the difficulty we face is that the information that Prabhupada gave in various conversations and discussions with some of his leaders was never made available to all the leaders of the movement, to all the temple president, all the senior devotees, all the sannyasis. It was not made available. It was selectively presented that Prabhupada had appointed some successors, some pure devotees, which has basically been proven to be a nonsensical proposition. So as far as the position of people who have been initiated, the first question is, who authorized their position? When? When did Srila Prabhupada, the Founder-Ācārya of ISKCON, ever appoint, nominate, choose, or anybody as a Diksha Guru in his society? When? I'm referring to 1977. None of this interpretation, Prabhupada said this in 1975 in a letter, and Prabhupada says this somewhere else in his, well, that's fine. I'm referring to the last few months of Srila Prabhupada's manifested presence, specifically in Bombay, Rishikesh, and India, in London, England, between April of 1977 and November 14. When was this appointment made? There's no record of it. It's a myth. Some of you in this call are familiar with the admission of the late secretary who admitted in Topanga County in California on December 3rd, 1980, that this idea, he says, you cannot show me anywhere in writing or on tape where Prabhupada said, appoint these 11 as gurus. It's a myth, M-Y-T-H. So this mythology has been forwarded for 46 years, and all the problems in this society comes from this nonsense fabrication, from this foolish speculative interpretation. They will not accept Srila Prabhupada's order simply to act as officiating representative. That was Prabhupada's arrangement. They will not accept. Why? Pod problem. Profit, adoration, and distinction. You study Srila Prabhupada's poetry in 1959, 60, 61, coming out of Mathura and Radha Damodar Pali, how he analyzes what was the problem, why the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta, his institution, failed. You see, Prabhupada points out this. He says the tigress of Pratishta, the desire for name, fame, and position, was responsible for this. I'm paraphrasing here. So the same disease, this is the disease. This was a service that was given by Srila Prabhupada to some senior disciples as a service to his. This was not a position or an appointment of Diksha Guru. That is a nonsense misinterpretation. And if you don't like what we say, well, come and prove it. You want to debate? Threadbare, no time limit? And we'll get people involved that will refute your arguments. Your arguments have already been refuted. There are plenty of people who have already refuted all these nonsense arguments about this myth idea. But the difficulty is when there's the desire for name, fame, and position, the truth goes out the window. The factual truth goes out the window. And that is the problem. Anyway, we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Very interesting question from Harinam, and something to ponder on for all of us, because a lot of people are sincere in their search for truth, no question. And we are seeing, even in our local preaching work, some people that came to the ISKCON movement with open hearts and open information, open desire to become Krishna conscious through the ISKCON system. And they're not aware of the fraudulent system that was set up. They're not aware. It's a hoax. A lot of people call it a mafia. It's a compromised group of people who have perpetrated a massive hoax over the innocent seekers of the truth. And they're manipulating, Balaramji, they're manipulating the mission of Lord Chaitanya for their own whatever mundane purposes. And this is unfortunate, very unfortunate. And it is clear as a bell to all of us that are Prabhupada disciples what has gone on and how it's unfolded this way. So we've got a person here that's reading Prabhupada's books, but is initiated by hypothetically. It's very true what Yaśodā said. A lot of times these people don't allow that to go on. They insist on post-Prabhupada books like Devamrita does, to name one. So this particular hypocrisy is creating chaos. And this question that our friend has asked us is a reflection of this chaotic state. Well, they're reading bona fide books, but they've got an unqualified, unbona fide spiritual master. How do you reconcile that? Well, my answer is make sure you learn what the truth is and then give up that guru immediately. It's not a bona fide system, period. So we can all think about that. We've reached the end of this program. And we want to thank everyone who participated today in the discussion. I would have liked to call on a few of our other participants for this discussion, but time has run out. And I wanted to remind everybody that we will be back on air on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam classes as part of our regular sadhana program. Yes, Balaram, you have your hand up, please.
Prabhu, just a little observation that I didn't fit in when I was speaking before. In
Yes.
the wonderful videotape of Srila Prabhupada at the start of the program,
Yes.
you noticed it on Srila Prabhupada's roof, where then suddenly the little Kumaris came and started dancing, right? You might have seen that little section.
Yeah.
You have a look at detachment of Srila Prabhupada. I've seen that video several times, and Srila Prabhupada does not look at the little Kumaris dancing. Next time you see it, have a look. Srila Prabhupada is looking one way. He's not distasteful, but he's not looking. All of the other devotees there, sannyasis, everyone, they're all watching the performance. Srila Prabhupada is not looking at those women dancing. So just a little observation of the detachment that Srila Prabhupada has. Hare Krishna.
Well, Prabhupada demonstrated, as we talked about in the last class, the highest levels of Krishna consciousness. And even in the last 3 months of his manifested presence, despite all the difficulties, he never manifested or demonstrated any discomfort, really, in terms of his situation. And he was always fixed on translating the books right up to the end, to the last moment of his life. So this is the practical example, unedited Shrestha's, that Prabhupada demonstrated for all of us, that you teach by example, not by precept. So this is the principle that we all as a group want to do, is work together collectively to follow the process. And in this way, we'll develop some spiritual potency as a group and hopefully attract more people. It's very discouraging in some sense to see, although we have a good group of people, we have so few compared to the potential that is there for us. So let us pray together, everyone, that Krishna will send more sincere souls to be a part of this Sangha, as you mentioned, of focus on protecting the legacy of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda in his books, in his management system, and his initiation process. We're going to move forward and bring the video of Prabhupada chanting, possibly. It might be a surprise for us, but Hare Krishna to close out today's program. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,